Hi folks, welcome back to Stacey Can. Today I am preserving some stinging nettle. Isn't that fun? It probably sounds bananas to you, but it's exciting for me. So while I go over all this information, you can follow along down below in the show notes and hit like and subscribe while you're down there because it does help. The show notes has a link on there explaining the nettle a little bit more, and I'll have more information about my experience with it on my blog, which you can read at www.staceycancan.com, and that's Stacey, S-T-A-C-E-Y.com, cancan.com. So the ingredients that you need are some nettle. I'll give you more information on that in a bit, and definitely some rubber gloves. The tools, you need a rubber gloves, you need a good pair of scissors to cut the stems. You're gonna need, because I'm freezing this, I'm gonna need some freezer bags and a pen to write on the dates and such. And you're gonna need some tongs because we are going to blanch this, as well as a pot of some sort. I have a really great pot here. You don't necessarily need a basket in it, but this basket fits in there and it makes it easy for me to do. Then you need another bowl that you're gonna do an ice bath with. So we'll put ice water in here to ice bath it. Plus some paper towels or towels, because after we're done water bathing it, we're gonna wrap it up in some towels to dry it off really well before freezing them. So with all that, let's go ahead and get started. Got my scissors, long sleeves, long pants, and my bag to put them in. So let's get started. You wanna be careful and you wanna just kind of cut. We're not cutting this whole thing back, so we're just gonna cut above some of the growth, and we're gonna get the younger shoots here. So I'm cutting above the, there's a little spot here, if you can see it. There's little leaves that are growing off, and I'm cutting above it. So if you can see there, these little leaves, I'm cutting above those at the stem. Here are these little leaves there. I'm cutting about an inch above it and just getting the younger shoots. Not sure you could tell in that video, but you do want to cut the stem at an angle, so that way the stem itself doesn't get waterlogged, and because that can kill the plant, or that segment of the plant. The stinging nettle has got these little tiny hairs on them. They're called trichomes. And if you touch them, they can cause a stinging sensation that can last for hours, and even some blisters. So you definitely want to make sure you're wearing some gloves here, which I'm doing. Drying these or blanching them first before consuming is what you definitely need to do, because the blanching and the drying will remove the trichomes and the little chemical they have in there. It'll get rid of those. And you definitely want to make sure that you blanch prior to freezing, because it saves the color, is what I'm looking. Words are hard. It saves the color on that. So you, they don't get soggy and mushy when you freeze them. If you were to just throw them in the freezer now, they don't freeze well. Leafy greens like this don't freeze very well without blanching first. So that's what we're gonna do. So make sure you got your gloves. Another thing to mention is try to avoid getting the leaves or whatever that have some, that have already been eaten by insects a little bit. Or chewed up. I didn't notice that. The sun was really kind of bright in some patches. I didn't notice that with this little bunch here, but it's got some insect damage and such. So oftentimes when you see that, it's because some of the larva that was laid on there hatched and ate its way around it, or other critters did, whatever. And so I'm not gonna use this one because it's got a lot of damage, and I didn't notice it when I was out there cutting away. So I've got the water is boiling, and I've got a nice rolling boil. I'm taking the lid off, and I'm just gonna add a little bit. You don't wanna overfill your pot here, and make sure that they are covered in water, like that. and cover the lid and set a timer for 1.5 to 2 minutes. All right, so the timer has gone off, and I'm going to go ahead and remove these. Look at how beautiful and green they are. Remove them from the pot here and add them to the ice bath. And we're gonna set another timer for 1 minute. Okay, so the 1 minute timer has gone off, and I am just gonna lay these on the towel here. And you can kind of roll it up if you want and just press it really well. We're trying to, you don't want to squeeze it, you just want to make sure it's pretty dry. And then you can lay these on a cookie sheet or sheet like so, or a plate or whatever. And then we're going to put them in the freezer and let them freeze this way before putting them in a freezer bag. And off to the freezer they go. Okay, so these pieces have frozen. Well, they've been sitting here for a little bit and they've kind of defrosted a little, but I'm still going for it. So it's kind of a good idea to move quickly once they get frozen. And then, but another thing you can do is you can just kind of lay them flat in a container like this. But it's up to you on that part. And put it in, I'm putting it in a Ziploc bag. You can use a different storage container if you'd like. And then seal it up. And then you can lay it flat like this to get it completely frozen before you then can move it around into the freezer compartment a little bit easier. And this is how we freeze and preserve some stinging nettle. I tasted it, it's quite good. It's a cross between kale and spinach, a little more spinachy than kale. But it's a really great substitute for any of those leafy vegetables. If you're wondering, like, what do you do with them? Well, there is some recipes for nettle soup, a quiche, wontons, and tortillas. So, and that is down below in the show notes. And while you're down there, hit like and subscribe. But there's a link down there in the show notes with the with links to some of these recipes that you can cook with, which is fantastic. So that's how we do it. And again, like and subscribe while you're down there too. That does help. So thanks so much for joining me today. And you can reach me and continue to follow me on Facebook at Stacey Can Can. You can at me on Instagram and TikTok at Stacey Can Can. My website is www.staceycancan.com. My email is info@staceycancan.com. And I'm also on LinkedIn and Pinterest at Stacey Can Can. And I have a blog, so please follow along with my blog as well. And a newsletter, like and subscribe with my newsletter. So thanks so much for joining me today. And until next time, happy